Grab your pre-workout and turn up that volume. It is time for a new episode of the Powerlifter's Den with your host, Cam Smith. What's up, Powerlifter's Den family? Want to rep the podcast and look good while doing it? Check out my official merch store at plden.company.site. We've got tees, hoodies, beanies, hats, and more, and gear that'll keep you motivated in and out of the gym. Every purchase helps support me and the podcast and keeps the den growing strong. So whether you're hitting a heavy squat session or just lounging in style, we've got you covered. Head to plden.company.site and grab your merch today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Powerlifter's Den. I'm your host, Cam Smith, and today I wanted to bring on someone from the raw world, Delco Jesus, Joe Jackson. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, real name's Joe Jackson. Everyone knows me by Delco or Delco Jesus on Instagram. But yeah, I'm excited to be on here and talk powerlifting with you.
Yeah, so before we kind of get into what started you with powerlifting, I want to know where the name Delco Jesus came from.
So I used to work at a retro fitness back way before COVID, like 2015 to 2019. And when I was getting into my weight loss journey, I thought it'd be funny to call myself Thick Jesus. I had long hair at the time. And I went out with some people from the gym after I already lost 100 pounds. And so Delco is like the county I'm from. And there's kind of a saying like, you know, people that get really shitty when they drink, they're Delco. And I showed my Delco side that night. And when they came in, they were like, you can't be Thick Jesus, it has to be Delco Jesus. I just ran with it, and it hasn't left.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of a good segue, kind of get talking about powerlifting itself. I mean, I know you said you lost over 100 pounds, and that is kind of what segued you into powerlifting. So kind of before we get into that, tell us about that journey of that weight loss.
Yeah, so in high school and middle school, I was always like the fat kid. High school, senior year, I was up to 350, and that was no muscle, strictly Mountain Dew and Doritos. And my grandfather passed in 2011, and he always wanted me into the gym, and I told him I would try to better myself once he died. Like I made a promise to myself. So I started going to the gym in 2014, had an injury happen, had to stop, and then joined back 2015. And then they were hiring as well, so I dove headfirst into it. And I was 350 starting. I got down to like 244, and then that's when I transitioned and started training for powerlifting.
Yeah, and tell us exactly what kind of got you and discover the powerlifting world.
Well, so I already knew of it. Like, I knew there was a competition where people lifted squat, bench, and deadlift, because back then, you know, looking up motivation videos, like everything on TikTok is motivation videos now. But back then on YouTube, it was like CT Fletcher. And then there was stuff where it kind of transitioned into like hype videos with like heavy metal, but it was like an overlay for like different powerlifting meets like big dogs and stuff like that. So I found that, but it was mostly seeing Dave Tate, Ed Cohn, and like Bama Burr videos, and then like some Dan Bell squats and stuff like that on top of the CT Fletcher videos. And that just got me doing the three main movements religiously. And then one of the personal trainers at Retro, she saw me lifting, and granted, my lifts were dog shit. They were not to standard, but she was like, you're still strong for all the weight you lost. You should look into competing. So I signed up for a meet, and that was at York Barbell, and that's when it started.
Yeah, and what was your first total?
Nothing. I bombed on deads.
Yeah. So from that point on, obviously bombing out's kind of an interesting first start, and some obviously some people experience that. But from that point on, like when did you have the itch still after that, or is it something that maybe took a couple of meets for you, or?
So I had the itch, but it wasn't right away. So basically, you know, I felt defeated like anyone would their first meet. And York, PA for me is like hour 45, which isn't that far. But for your first meet,
Yeah.
just a bomb. Um, I kind of was really pissed off about it, but I sat with it, and with how I started into the gym, and I didn't want to be like my old self. I figured I'd give it another try. Um, so I had the itch to still train that way, and then I just had to find a meet. But the meet I signed up originally for was an RPS meet actually, but COVID happened, so that got shut down. And then there was a USAPL meet that came back around at the gym I went to, so I signed up for that, and that I would say that solidified to let me keep pursuing this outside of just doing it for fun type of thing.
Yeah, and from that point on of when you kind of became like a casual lifter to stepping onto the pro stages and saw that like the big total start coming in, like what was that transition period for you and what were some of the influences along the way that helped you kind of get to that pro level?
Uh, so it really was just timing. I mean, my first untested meet was at Power Build in King of Prussia when they had their like it was either right before the grand opening when they made it to the public or right after, but that was my first untested meet, and I competed with Zach Myers and Travis Rogers, and that kind of uh, made me see the potential that I'm competing with these people that are putting up insane numbers. I can probably get there, especially because I it was probably my best meet performance wise. Everything was kind of sandbagged, but I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
So after that, um, I qualified for North Americans for USPA, and after taking second in my weight class in that, it I had enough for the American Pro, and it was just like an opportunity. I saw the meet, saw the videos, and got me hyped up. And I saw other people doing it at that point. I was following Blake LaHue. You had Travis Rogers originally was signed up for it. You had Dan Grigsby, Zach Myers. The list goes on. So I figured if I qualify, why not do it? And once stepping on that, that's all I've been chasing.
Yeah, and did you kind of get right into the involvement of the world of powerlifting? By that I mean like the social media world where you get to see all the bullshit basically. Because one thing I do wish I didn't have to experience was some of the things on online with powerlifting. So when did you kind of get toe dip your toes in that water?
It, it kind of is just all a blur, honestly. But I would probably say after the first American Pro, going into the second, is probably when stuff started to really show. The curtain got peeled back a bit. Um, but yeah, it's just been nonstop with what's behind the curtain. So it kind of the drama never stops in powerlifting.
Yeah, and so walk us through that first American Pro experience.
It honestly felt like a movie. I didn't even now the stages I've been on now. I'm not going to say I don't deserve to be there. I'm definitely not John Hack. I'm not batting 1,000, can total 2,200 on any day of the week. But it made me feel like it was my moment. From the second that I got there for weigh-ins, and just seeing the experience and the venue that Micah and Anna had for that, it kind of made me feel like a professional, and it just lit that fire even more that I had burning. And it's the same thing with the second, the Ghost Clash, and then the Rumbles as well. Just every time, it's been such an experience that I kind of want to chase that performance and just keep getting better on those stages.
Yeah, and obviously these meets are like high production value and some of the best lifters on the planet. But outside of that, what are some of the things that make the meet fun and enjoyable and like makes you want to come back to them?
At this point, it's seeing the same faces. Um, Justin Zottel, Fernando, when I mean he does 40 meets a year, it feels like, and Zeus, seeing them consistently at this point, it's always a good feeling because they all live so far. So it's kind of like catching up with friends. And then seeing the new faces that come in and getting to just be on that platform with some of the best. It I'm a firm believer in if you want to be the best, you have to compete with the best. So even though I'm not in the top five, top 10, if I'm able to be at a meet where the best are, I want to be there.
Yeah, and I think one of the caveats with that is there's so many meets and there's so many like I forget who was saying. I think Greeno was talking about this. Just how there's so many pro meets now. It's like it's awesome to like up the level of production and have all these big meets and have these big payouts. But at the end of the day, when you have so many meets like this, it's so hard to get a stacked competition. Although the competition level overall is much higher than it used to be, but to have those like top 10 dogs all in the same room in the same meet is very hard to get.
Yeah, I mean, injuries is a huge one for the untested side, sadly. But I feel like it would be easier, and I know this is a dream, but if these federations and meet directors, because they all know each other, just because you're in a different fed doesn't mean you don't know that fed and who runs it. Communicate. There's enough strong lifters to make each meet be phenomenal and have a good turnout. Communicate. Set up not like a it's not a season because it's different feds, but just talk about, hey, we're doing the American Pro this month. Maybe you guys should be at least like 3, 4 months away. That way, both meets can have a relatively good turnaround. But there's too many egos that I don't think anyone will ever do that.
Yeah, I think the bigger picture too is just there's so many feds and part of my dream is one day there's just going to be like two feds and as much as we'd all want that it's never going to happen, but it's just part of the whole thing of like the like you said, the egos and the greed, and it's like there's not money in powerlifting. There never is gonna be money. Like, yeah, maybe there'll be a 10 grand payout here and there for like the best of the best, and that can cover some expenses and maybe a down payment on a car. Like,
Yeah, yeah, you break even. No, I think eventually there could be money in the sport, but I don't think it'll be our generation or even the next one with how ego driven everyone is. But it's possible. I mean, if slap fighting and all these other crazy sports can have huge payouts and be on ESPN and be on just regular TV, there's no reason powerlifting couldn't be. It just I feel like it just needs a reboot, honestly.
yeah, and I think part of it too is as much as we love the sport, to normal people, powerlifting is very boring. It's just
Yeah,
it's three lift. Like I get what you're saying with like the power slap and stuff, and like it would be awesome to have that, but people love watching people get slapped in the face. Some people don't understand what 1,000 pound squat actually means. Like it's one of those things where it's you need the world to be able to understand it better, and like it's I think that's a missing piece of the puzzle.
yeah, to a degree. I mean, they don't have to understand um, how much we're lifting to, in a sense. They just need to be entertained and pulled in. If they're drawn in to whoever's lifting, then they'll be sold on it. But that would cause all the athletes to actually have to market themselves and put some entertainment into their social media, and that's asking a lot because sadly, the top five, top 10 people they don't really care. They kind of just want to collect their checks or collect their sponsor money, and that's it.
Yeah, and I think the best approach would be to almost like WWE style. Like that's why I was a big fan of what the Rumble tried to do with the
Yeah,
and try to do the interviews and the press conference, and like with Holy Wars, we're kind of trying to do something similar to that. And it's like when you kind of can bring these personalities out, because we all know like the personalities of powerlifting is either some of the most fucked up people or the funniest people or a combination of the both. So if you
yeah,
can like get that out there, people will be like, oh, I want to go watch this guy compete. I don't care what he's actually doing, but I want to see what he's doing.
exactly. And then it's on both parties. The meet directors as well, I think, have to make it a little more interactive for the people that do show up. Um, Sheffield did it, and I'm sure uh, Surge, I think they did as well. But brochures, it's not that big of an expense. Why in 2026 do we not have brochures for spectators that has a kilo conversion chart? Or not even a brochure, just give them a kilo conversion chart because it's just that's a huge aspect. I don't think it's the weight part. People can comprehend 1,000 pounds or 800 pounds on someone's back, but when they see, 6 red plates, that's not what they see in their gym. So I think that's more the confusion for people that don't understand.
Yeah, and then a little bit more about kind of your training style too. We'll talk about is maybe what's like your approach to training and maybe how that's evolved over the years.
Yeah. So when I was first, obviously before powerlifting, it was honestly CT Fletcher workouts, doing the tricep gauntlet. But then it was just basic, 5x5, 3x3, stuff like that. And then once I got into competing, repetition work, I was benching 3 times a week, um, squatting twice and deadlifting once to twice, but it was never, sometimes it'd be like a um, regular deadlift and then paused or rack pull, something along those lines. But now at this point, with um, my squat being over 7, well, over 8, and my deadlifts being around 7, it's just once a week. That's all my body can handle. I'm a tiny guy. I'm 5'8", so I can't be squatting 700-800 twice a week right now.
Yeah, and with as far as coaching goes, who have you worked with over the years?
So I was with someone from my gym that I worked at. His name was John Goldstein, Gold Locks on Instagram. I was with him for ever, honestly, until after the first Rumble when I tore my bicep. When I tore my bicep, I kind of fell into negative headspace. And I had SI issues that just further deepened it. And he had 2 kids at this point. He kind of fell out of love with powerlifting, which is fine, family man. Um, and I knew, even though we were still good with coaching, I didn't want to put that burden on him for travel meets. Hey, you got to take time away from your family. So we agreed. And then I went on with Greeno. And I've been with Greeno since January of last year. So it's officially a year now.
And what has it been like working with him? What are some of the things that you like that he does that works for you?
Like, I don't know if that's the right word, but he really does hound the smaller muscle groups. So like the delts are getting hit twice a week harder than ever. That's been carrying over well on my bench. Um, he also does some band work, which I'm not really used to. I never really did any of that. And that's been carrying over well for my deadlift. But it's just he's easier to speak with and make adjustments on the fly. And I think that helps a lot because at this point, you know, there's days I'll walk in and I'll feel great and we're able to call an audible, change it a bit to get that feel. And then there's times where we have something projected and my body just can't handle it. So he's able to adjust it right then and there. And that helps a lot with where I'm at.
Yeah, and this will be a good time to talk about the misconception with RPE, and I think you kind of nailed whatever, you know what I was trying to say. And how like it's often misconstrued, especially in younger lifters, and the idea that like just because the RPE is going up doesn't mean the weight's going up. It's completely separate entity. So maybe tell us with your experience with that and like why that is such an important topic to you.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a head case when it comes to my programming and how I train, and with the numbers, especially leading into a prep. But coaching as well, I've had athletes where, you know, I tried to do an RP range for them and explain it to them, and no matter what, they it's like clockwork. Hey, not really feeling it today. I'll see what I got. All right, that's fine. It's RP9, doesn't have to be crazy. Just make sure you give it everything. And then they're trying to PR and they fail, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like this, you're not following how it really should be ran. And I think it's tough with social media that a lot of new lifters, and honestly current from my generation, they think they have to hit a big number every time. That way they can get the views and get the acknowledgement to further themselves, when at the end of the day, if you're just getting the work in, it will carry over. You just have to make sure you're following program accordingly. And if it says RPE 9, it's not going up. It's however you feel that day. But
Yeah, if like a RPE 9 could be a 5-10% difference due to fatigue. And like if you're still straining, which an RPE 9 is a strain, like you're gonna grow. It doesn't matter the weight at that point. It's like it's not like you're not gonna get stronger just 'cause you had to go 30 pounds lighter this week.
yep. Yeah, there's days where if we don't use RPE for my training, but hypothetically speaking, there's days where I'll make 7 to 720 move like an RPE 7. Then there's days where 661 is an RPE 9. It happens. It depends on, your recovery, how your diet is, what you're doing at work. If there's someone that's physical labor, they RPE 9 is going to be like hundreds of pounds off.
Yeah.
Um, and even people that sit at desks too. If you're sitting at a desk for 8 hours and if you're not stretching properly during the day or before you're lifting, if you have to squat, your hips, they might not be able to handle whatever you think your RPE 9 should be. And you have to dial it back.
Yeah, and the managing the outside fatigue on the recovery aspect too is often huge. And I think another point too is like when you're in prep, if you are still making big jumps and matching RPEs correctly without having to maybe reel it back a little bit, like you're probably not training hard enough in your prep.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the other end, when you're training, you know, the gym culture now isn't about honesty, it's about making each other feel good. And don't get me wrong, we should be uplifting each other, but if someone's going to show me their squat, or if I watch their squat and they're like grinding, they're like, hey, it was supposed to be an RP 7. I'm not going to say, yeah, it looked good, but a lot of people do. They'll just say, yeah, that would look like maybe a 7.5. And it's like, no, be honest with each other.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if it's I've either kind of um edited my social media feed enough to where it's people actually have some brains on their head, but or people are actually starting to understand a little bit better. But I just remember all the time seeing people being like, "Oh, this is RP 8," and they're like turning fucking purple at the third rep, and it's like, dude, that's not an 8. It's like if you don't have two, like it doesn't necessarily mean 2 reps in reserve, but if you're turning purple, it's not a fucking 8.
Yeah. Or they'll say my favorite is RP 8, but with a misgroove. There's no such thing. Your form broke down. It's too heavy for the day.
Yeah, yeah. If your form or bar speed slowing down, it is automatically above a 7.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And it's like and it's kind of a different world on the equip side, and RP almost is a whole different atmosphere because it doesn't mean much and it doesn't really apply to the equipped lifting in some sense. Like it does to an extent, like you can know like, okay, this was an 8, like you doesn't mean you're gonna hit it for a triple, but it's like it was an 8 out of 10, like you have a 50, 60 pound jump or whatever. And I think when you apply it that way, it's almost easier to comprehend. But at the same time, when you like actually misgroove it, like you could fucking get hurt. It's like totally different than like if you misgroove a raw squat, like you can maybe fix it and get into it and like it could actually still be the correct RPE. So that's why there's so many nuances to it and like it's how you apply it.
Yeah. Equipped, it's completely different. I put on a pair of briefs one time and never, I don't want to say never again, but not for a while. That's a workout in itself.
What kind of briefs were they?
Could not tell you. So my friend Jules, Squat Holio,
Yep.
um, he had a gym in his basement not too long ago.
With the Philly mono,
The
the Eagles mono. Is that was his, right?
No, it was like state. It was like goat or something.
Oh.
I don't know. But I went there, and he's like, "Yeah, I got a surprise." And this is where I was like, kind of not injured. It was before the first rumble, but um, I go over and he had briefs. He's like, "Yeah, you want to try them on? I got them for you." Like, one, how do you know my size? That's concerning. But yeah, they technically, I guess, fit. I don't know how they're supposed to fit, but it was crazy because they're uncomfortable, but they do work.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too when like it, most of our stuff is max effort, so it's like we kind of just know when we're done. There's not necessarily an RPE because we're not like doing volume work full kit. Like we'll do volume work on our briefs, or we'll do some like volume work into boards and stuff in the shirt. But it's one of those things where it's like if you fuck up, you're like, what, and you haven't done it for a while, you're like, well, what do I do now? Because you don't know what you're supposed to do. Like if you like I'm to a point now where I'm like, okay, well, I did this wrong. Like I can still go up to my next attempt or whatever, especially like meat setting. If like you fuck up your opener because you didn't sit back hard enough or you misstepped or whatever, versus like you just couldn't get it. It's a completely different like mental head case.
Yeah, yeah. It's I've trained with some equipped guys, and it's seeing how they like are so precise with things in their form because they have to be, or else it just goes bad quick. It's another level. I used to be a hater. I respect it. I think it's a different sport at this point, honestly.
Yeah, and like I always tell people, it's like it's comparing high jump to pole vaulting. Like you can't just give a national high jumper a pole and be like, here, beat Mondo Duplantis right now. Like you might eventually because you could learn to do it, but it's you know you can't just do it like that. Like yes,
Yeah,
it obviously helps you lift more weight, but it's a skill. And once people understand that, it's a lot cool. And it's to me, it's just fun. And if you're having fun, that's the name of the game here.
yeah, I agree.
But as far as competing in the raw world and like maybe some of the goals you have like with maybe some meets this year or maybe some of the things that you're looking for career wise, what's your kind of what's the end game for you?
Well, for this year, um, I have the East Coast Classic for ABS in May. It's May 30th down Virginia Beach. It's the third head to head with Zeus under ABS's umbrella. So that's the rubber match. So that's going to be a fun one. It's his hometown, my birthday weekend. So I'm looking forward to that one. Then after that, I do have the ABS Grand Prix over in Ireland in November. It's in Limerick. So this year it's just ABS meets, but I don't know what the future holds after that. I just know my end all goal. I want to attempt 1,000 pound squat in sleeves in the 308 class. Um, right now, the only one to squat 1,000 that's under the really under 365 pounds was Andrew House. He did it, I think, 294
Yeah,
USPC.
292, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and then I know Phil Herndon. I feel like it's close. I mean, but
If he just
I
sticks
can't.
to one thing for more than 3 months in a
Yeah,
row,
yeah, he switches all the time. Um,
he could also probably total 3K in poly, but we keep yelling
yeah,
at him, dude. We're like, dude,
it's
stick
really,
to one thing.
it's really. He just wakes up. He's like, I'm gonna do it like this today. I wish, man.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'd like to attempt 1,000 pound squat in sleeves, in the 308 class for sure.
So tell us about these head to heads with Zeus. Remind everybody who Zeus is and what sparked this.
Yeah. So Zeus is my mortal enemy in the sport. I feel like we're tied together at this point. Um, we first competed against each other in the first American Pro. I I was a head case leading into that meet. I was looking up everyone in my weight class, and I actually didn't even know that's who Zeus or Zach was. His real name is Zach Smith. Um, there was some dude named Zach Smith in the 140 class on open powerlifting that's like a 2,300 total or 2,200 total. I was like, oh, I'm cooked. And then found out it was Zeus, and we worked in together in the back room because most people that are in the same weight class do. And it came down to the final deadlift. I didn't know, and I pulled 744 to beat him. And then I kind of just set in like some little shit talking for the American Pro 2, and it just was a snowball effect after that, and it just carried us, got us into the first Rumble, and then back to San Diego again, and it's been a fun ride. We kind of understand the boundaries with each other and what we can and can't say. Um, but we just love talking the shit to each other. And it comes back to what you said about WWE, like sports entertainment. I not knocking him or myself. We have good totals, but we're not the top five. But we pull people in because we're making it fun, talking shit. People get invested, and I think that's what we need. There has to be more of the friendly banter. Sometimes blur the line and just get people intrigued, see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I totally think that's what makes it fun. And so what maybe explain to everybody how the whole head to head came about and like the involvement with the ABS and what that's been like.
Yeah, so the head to head, it kind of works. It makes it fun because I squat his deadlift essentially. He definitely has a bigger bench, but his squat and my deadlift, I usually pull more depending on the meet. Um, so it kind of makes it a guessing game. You don't know who's going to win, so it definitely gets us the ability to keep that keep that from the people. They don't know who's going to win. It doesn't make it easy every meet. Um, and after the American Pro 2, we were supposed to do WRPF Nationals, now Powerlifting United. And I was taking a little hiatus from like social media because I was going on vacation. I was like, I need to step away. And he was blowing up my phone. And he calls me and I'm like, hey, what's going on? So yeah, there's some backouts of the first Rumble. Jay and Reach, that pre-workout company, came and went. Um, they were like, they wanted us to do it. So I agreed because again, I'm not going to say no to competing with the best, and flew out there. Um, he won at that one. I got COVID the week of, and still went out. Was feeling better, but I just couldn't. In Utah with the elevation, I couldn't. I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I was done. But he took that one, tore my bicep on my open deadlift, and then the Rumble 2, we just kind of agreed we were going to do it since I couldn't do the Nationals meet because of my bicep. So we agreed to do Rumble 2 or the Grand Prix of the Rumble 2. And it just, he messed up his hand. So it kind of just set the tone that as long as I hit my numbers, I should beat him. So that's how we got the rubber match in ABS. And Jay from ABS has been great. He loves it. Those Irish guys love talking shit.
Yep.
They're all Conor McGregor over there. So he's leaned into it. He really hyped it up for the first Rumble and the second one and during the meet as well. So I don't see it being any different this time. And, knock on wood for Zeus and myself, we're going to be healthy going into this. And I think we'll be able to put up totals that add to how much shit talking we do.
Yeah. So it's 1-1 right now. So this is like the final bout essentially.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure we'll see each other again, but I know he's a little heavier. He's over 308 now. Before we were in the same weight class, I think it's just his frame. He's like 6'4", 6'5". He's huge, so he's kind of got to be over 308. But so this will probably be the last head to head unless something happens.
And how exactly is ABS like kind of running this and operating this?
For the one in Virginia,
Yeah.
um, they have some things planned. He hasn't really gone over a lot yet because they have their meet in February.
Hmm.
So he kind of focuses, what's in front of him. But we've shared some things. We're planning some stuff to post out there and get the hype behind it. I know it already writes itself, the fact that it's in his hometown. It's my birthday weekend. Push come to shove, someone's going to have their pride hurt. So it's going to be him. But
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing that. But I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about your favorite powerlifting story or the story that meant a lot to you. And so we're kind of backtracking to that American Pro. So maybe tell us about the training session on April 27th, 2022.
yeah. So leading up to the American Pro, my grandmom sick. Um, she's had heart issues and she didn't take care of herself. So she kind of was just skin and bones. And it just kept progressing. And she was, for that whole year, she was just bedridden. Um, and I was working my job, taking my lunch to go feed her, help her to the bathroom, and everything along those lines. And as we got closer to my meet, um, she moved down to Virginia with my aunt because my aunt was retired. She could take care of her. Um, we knew that kind of would be you know, accelerating her time, but we didn't know how long. So she gets down there, and it wasn't, I don't know how long she was down there, but I was at the gym, and my aunt called me, and she usually texts me first before anything because she's busy with ex-military stuff. And she calls me and she says, "Hey, uh, my mom's in bed. She's not gonna make it into the morning. Um, she can't talk, but she can like react. So even though you can't see her, you should say your goodbyes, and it she won't make it in the morning." And so I did. I was at Power Build, so the setup, they had like a little. Uh, they have a physical therapist there. She had her there little area, and broke the rules. I sat in her chair, talked to my grandma, just said some stuff between us, and hung up. Knew it was the last time I talked to her, and sat in that chair for, I it felt like forever, maybe a half hour crying. And I'm not one to cry in public in front of anyone, but I I knew how proud she was of what I was doing, and I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to just, make a scene, put away the weights, and have people asking, "Are you okay?" I told one person at the gym at the time, his name was Tom. He's regular there that kind of roots everyone on. He's a really good guy. And I told him, I was like, "Listen, just don't let me leave. Like I gotta hit this." And I took, I want to say 661, and it moved like a RP9. um, but I had it in my head that I was like, I have to hit 7. I can't, if I want to do good at this meet, my first, like at that time, considering it pro meet, um, I gotta hit 7 today. And we loaded it, and this one member, his name was Alex. He didn't know what was going on. He, I asked him to be the back spot, and I'm sitting there getting ready, salts and everything in my head, and I can't even remember exactly what he said, but it was such an encouraging statement, uh, that I almost didn't feel like it was from him, and it just gave me the strength to finish that squat. It it's only 705. Strength is relative, I know, but even though I've hit 826, and I know I'll hit more, that that squat means the world to me because old me would have crumbled. Old me would have quit and left, and she basically raised me. So to lose her and still finish that, and then go on to the meet and take first in my weight class, which to me at that moment was a huge deal. Um, yeah, that's stuck with me forever.
Yeah, and I think that's an incredible story, and I think it really will resonate with a lot of people because, as we know, powerlifting is a bunch of misfits trying to just make their way through life through weights, basically. And so I think a story like that is it's going to hit home to a lot of people, and I think it's kind of a good idea from here to kind of segue into the importance of mental health in the sport, and it's something that I am a big advocate for, and like whether it's like making sure you have another hobby of powerlifting where to end because so many people rely on it. It's like you need to have another means in case you got hurt and it's your last meet. But maybe tell us about some of the mental health journeys that you've gone through as well.
Yeah, so 2011, I lost my grandpa. Um, he he wasn't related by blood. My grandma remarried, and but he was the only grandpop I knew, so he raised me. My mom wasn't. She was in my life, but she was an alcoholic. So it was really my grandparents raising me because I lived in a condo. They were in the condo across the backyard. So if my mom was giving me issues, I just went and stayed with them.
Mhm.
And he died in 2011 from lung cancer, and it sent me into a spiral. that on top of the constant bullying I received in school, um, it I didn't want to be here. I attempted to take my life multiple times through different ways, and by the grace of God, I didn't succeed. But the mental health, it just I found the gym, and the euphoric feeling of hitting PRs, of seeing transformations, like actually in the mirror in yourself. Uh, it gave me the illusion that this made everything better. Um, but then it comes full circle. You get into a sport like powerlifting, and you really learn who you are when you get injured, and especially in today's society with social media, because you see all your friends and all these other lifters making that progress still, and you don't see their bad days. No one posts those. So when you're injured going through that, it kind of makes you have to reevaluate what this means to you and what you're going to do after. And I think that's a huge thing that people need to really pay attention to. I love that saves people and that helps people get through shit. But if you don't have a plan for after, if you don't have another way to, you know, relieve that mental problem you're going through, then it can get a slippery slope.
Yeah, and that's why I always tell, like, somebody like, all these pro level lifters, like, for most people, that's, like, their whole life, and it's like, find another hobby. I don't care if it's reading comic books, crocheting, golf,
Yeah,
whatever it is, just have something that if powerlifting disappeared tomorrow, you would still be okay.
yeah, yeah. It's important to have that, and it's. I mean, it's tough because to be at that elite level, you have to give majority of your life to it, and then also, there's that form of respect of paying it back too. So, you know, if you're at this elite level or any level, you're supposed to give back to the sport. Ref, meet direct, spot and load, which I agree with. But then that just takes up more of your time. So I understand how it is hard to have hobbies outside of it, but it it'll be worth it in the long run. And it's honestly better to be busy than let your mind go. Especially when you're injured, that's when it can be the worst.
Yeah, and I think anyone if anyone's watching that's currently going through an injury, now's the time to find a new hobby, just in case
Yeah.
the comeback isn't what you expect.
I got back into Pokemon card collecting when I was injured after the first Rumble.
Yeah, and it's, like, something like that too, where like, it doesn't have to be active too, like, it's something that, like, if you can just pick up something that you can do on the weekends or maybe a rest day where you're just hanging out, and it's something that, like, if, like I said before, you get hurt, then you can start doing it on your training days because you don't have those anymore, like,
Yeah.
but as far as the mental health part too, it's also ironic because it could be a vicious cycle where powerlifting can become the main source of some of your mental, like, disparities, and it's like you have so much anxiety about these meets or these training days or the weights you're getting under, and it's like if you gotta have anxiety to a point because some level of anxiety is good, but when it starts consuming you and it's becoming so much, you need to take a step back and be like, all right, why am I doing this, and what do I need to do to actually be in a good headspace so I can train properly.
Yeah, and that's hard. I mean, not just in lifting, it's hard for people to take that step back and kind of reflect on what they're doing and how they should go about it. Um, but yeah, people, as someone like me, that's a mental case when I compete. I get it. Like, you can really harness anxiety and use it for good, especially in the sport, but you have to be able to balance it. You have to be able to have an on and off switch. If you don't, it will consume you. And once you're injured, that's not going to be, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, and for me, I'm someone who's almost the opposite. I'm super, like, neurotic and, like, anxiety ridden, like, throughout prep, and then meet day, it's like I'm a whole different person. Like, I switched to competition mode, and it's been something that I've just always had, and I don't know how to translate that to people and how to, like, tell people it, but it's one of those things where it's like when I was in football, when it's game day, I play way better than I practice. When it's a wrestling meet, I will wrestle better than I would on the mats in the room. Same with the meet. Like, I could miss an opener all prep. I don't, but, like, I could miss an opener all prep and then smoke at meet day, and it's like I don't know how to translate that.
Yeah. It's, it's an overused saying, but some people just got that dog in them. Like it really is true. Like some people are just able to, hunker down and know that. I don't want to say it's their own meat day because that's the worst thing people say, but they know that they can do it when push comes to shove. When their back's against the wall, they can handle it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that does separate in the sport the people that have been doing the sport after doing sports, and then people that do the sport and haven't really had any competitive background.
Yeah, and that's why what's so interesting about like powerlifting being a bunch of misfits. Yes, a lot of us comes from sports background, but a lot of people don't. And to me, you can usually kind of tell just by the way they operate, even if like within your crew at a gym, like you can tell who played sports or not, whether they're always on time, they're always showing up consistently. They're like it's a lot of discipline stuff, but it's also a lot of execution things.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I feel like the easiest way to tell is if you go to the gym, who's talking before their top set and who's not. If they're talking before their top set, they don't know what it's like to. I don't want to say be competitive, but have that background of we have to get the job done first. Like there's no fun until we do this.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny too with the whole dog and me thing. It's like one of the things that I always say, like if say I miss like a second attempt, which like 3 or 4 weeks out, and it's like kind of one of those things where you're fatigued, like it can go either way, especially in the equipment. You don't do something right, blah blah blah. It's like I'm always like I'm not worried. I have that like the meat clutch factor. Like that's always I got that. That's my X factor. It's like I can always manage to throw it together on meat day.
Yeah, yeah, I'm the same way. My deadlifts and prep horrible. I cannot pull for shit in the gym, but on meet day, for the most part, um, I'm just able to lock in. I'm not thinking about it as much, and I think that's it too. In prep, if you really, I won't say if you care, but if you really are into it, you're going to think about your numbers or how your form is, your technique, everything along those lines, how the setup is. But on meet day, it's hard to really think about that stuff. And that's what you do it in training for. You get all those repetitions in. So on meet day, when you're just on that platform zoned out, you can trust your body to do what it has to do. And I think that's what it comes down to for people that can perform on meet day. They are overthinking the repetitions in prep. And even though it might not move how they want it to, once they can shut their mind off on that platform, it'll carry over.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of the things that one of my football coaches used to always say, like the hay is in the barn. It's like when it's meet day, there's nothing else you can do to prepare. Like you already did all the work, you already did everything. Like you packed your bag, you're out at the meet, you already weighed in. Like at this point, you just need to lift weights. That is the easiest and most fun part of this entire thing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's what we're all there for. I mean, why else are we training? We're not. It's not like we're getting forced on the bodybuilding stage after doing powerlifting prep. We know what we're there for.
Yeah, and it's it's funny that you mentioned that because one of my friends is actually doing bodybuilding while he's letting his body heal up, and I was like, I don't. I think I'll save that till I'm 40 if I even am walking by then.
Yeah, I'll never have a six pack, and I'm okay with that. I like a keg anyway.
Yeah, and so as far as the whole world of social media, we'll use the last like 10 minutes or so to kind of talk about this. Obviously, there's a lot of good things in terms of like connecting with people and like getting information, but there's a lot of stupid bullshit, and it's mostly stupid bullshit. And I love when people actually like call out people on their bullshit. So maybe tell us about your experience with that.
um, I have always been a very vocal person and opinionated person. I've definitely gotten better at trying to show people respect when viewing my voicing my opinion. But yeah, I think transparency and communication is the best form for anyone, whether that be person to person or federation to its lifters. Um, so when I see blatant lies or just bullshit, it's hard for me to bite my tongue, especially with something I love. I want to see the sport get to the point where people can make a living off of it. I want to see the sport grow into what I envision it to be because it did help me so much with, not taking my life. So I want to be a positive factor in that and help it grow. And if that means I have to make enemies because I call them out for not being truthful, then so be it. Luckily, most things I call out is the IPF, and I know I can't compete there, so we have no issue there. But yeah, it's just I don't know. It's I'll never bite my tongue in fear of hurting someone's feelings if I know what I'm saying is for the right reason, you know. Um, so as long as the meaning behind what you're saying is for a good cause, I think there's no reason you shouldn't voice your opinion or, use your platform. And that's what I want to use mine for.
Yeah, and so I guess the follow-up question to that is, at what point have you always done this, or was there a certain point when you felt you had enough, I guess, quote unquote, street cred to actually voice your opinion and not just be like, yo, fuck this guy, he's just some random guy?
I think it was so I always voice my opinions in other things, but I think what it was is once I saw like the curtain peeled back, my biggest question was just like, well, why do we let this bullshit happen? Like, why are people like this? If we all are here for the same reason, why can't we just be honest with each other? Um, so I think it was that started me voicing my opinion, and then that just took off to where people enjoyed it. But I mean, people enjoy a lot of things on the internet. There's some people that hate that I talk shit or voice what I believe is the truth in this sport, but they're allowed to feel that way.
Yeah, and it's something interesting for me in my position where it's like I actually have a lot of opinions. I don't share a lot of them. I like share them with my friends, but I think one of the things that makes this podcast good for everybody and something that makes it somewhat successful in our little world is the kind of the biting my tongue aspect and letting the other people talk shit. And we all know I've had some guests on that have definitely talked shit before, so I kind of leave that up to them. And I think if you know me close enough, like, you know my opinions, and that's kind of where I leave it at. But trust me,
Yeah.
I wish I could. I would love to go on some rants about a lot of things, but I think for now we're gonna keep it quiet.
Well, and just to touch on it a little more, I think another thing that people need to realize and that they're scared to accept is you can have an opinion and then change your opinion.
Yeah.
We don't, especially in today's society, everyone feels like they have to be rooted in their opinions when that's not who you are. It's just a season in your life. Equipped lifting, for example, I used to hate you guys. I used to be like, y'all are dog shit. You don't know what you're doing. And then I stopped being ignorant, gave it a chance, saw what took for the training, and I respect it now. But I'm not going to act like I didn't hate on it in the past. Just I grew, and everyone grows. We're not the same person we were a year ago, so it's okay to have your opinions and voice them. Just when they do change, voice that. Don't try to hide behind any opinion just because you're afraid of backlash. If it's true to you and if it's not hurting people, say it.
Yeah, and I think equipped lifting is a great example because obviously that's like what I do now, but probably a lot of people don't know, except my close friends, is I used to think it was stupid as hell too. I used to be like, what is this magic super suit bullshit that all these big fat guys are wearing trying to squat these big weights to inflate their egos? But it's not that at all. It's a whole different sport.
Yeah, it is. And that wasn't even my issue. I'll tell you what my issue was, even though I know we don't, that'd take 3 hours, but I just never understood the specialty bars all the way up to a meet. Because to me, yeah, of course your form is going to fall apart once you use a regular stiff bar. What are you doing? If you're using a Duffalo bar all prep or a cambered bar, it's not going to carry over the same. You're using that to fix your issues, get back to a real bar in that last 8 weeks of prep. But that was my biggest. I was like, you guys are dumb. But
That's funny. It's so yeah, it's true because I mean, if you think about the intended purpose of the camera bar, it's supposed to move. Like, you're actually supposed to hold it up top and stuff, and like we all hold it down low. And it's like I still don't fully understand why, but we also like Skiba gives us straight bar a lot. We only use like the Duffalo bar for Circa Max just because our elbows would have fucking exploded. But yeah, I know what you're talking about, and like the SSB, that bar, I wish it was never invented. It should only be used for JM presses, and I will stand on that opinion. But
hey, like we just said, everyone can have it. I I, I love it for JM presses.
Yeah, but for regular, and it's weird because in the when you're in like briefs or something, the SSB honestly isn't that bad, but doing raw SSB squats, oh my god, I hate it.
Yeah, see, when I do raw SSB, I have to use. I'm a diva. I have to use Kabuki SSB because I like the handles that come
I
down here.
actually do like the Kabuki
Yeah,
one because the
like
high handles make your back is just like to turn into a
yeah,
turtle.
yeah. So if it's the Kabuki SSB, I'm fine. But I will legitimately do anything else besides SSB if it's not that.
Yeah, and so I guess kind of going off that is where did that opinion come? Like what was the root of that opinion with the specialty bars?
Well, at first it was just ignorance, not knowing what the bars were for. But then as I learned more about powerlifting, it really came down to, well, if the point of training is to get the repetitions in to be ready for the platform, if you're not using that bar on the platform, why are we using it, 2 weeks out when you're taking your last heavy lift? It just never made sense to me. Um, but it just, I talked to equip lifters and they, it's just like you, they agree, but at the same time, we follow program, we listen to our coaches, which is a good thing to do too.
Yeah, and it is interesting to kind of see um the different programs that different equipped lifters give because Skiba basically tried to fucking kill me this prep, and now we're deloaded, we're like tapering super hard. So I'm very interested to see how it's working because he's notoriously known for having very hard preps, and this was like that on times 10. So like weeks 3, 4, 5 into prep, we were already absolutely smoked. Like CNS was destroyed, and like this week now, I think the heaviest thing I have left is like an opening deadlift, and it's so, and I'm 18 days out, so it'll be interesting to see how that kind of works. And like I think we didn't use anything besides the bars we're using in competition besides Circumax.
Yeah. It'll carry over well. I saw your bench today on your story. The 5x5 you said.
Yeah, I haven't done raw in so long because I dude, I kept blowing my pecs off and I had to change my form and like everything. And I the reason the other side happened was I decided to try to take 405 a week after a meet, and that was dumb. But I wanted to do it because I know I've been strong enough to bench at least 405 for probably about a year now, but I have never done it.
Yeah, that's fair. I get it. We've all done that. We've all done dumb things in training. So,
Yeah, it is fun to still be somewhat young enough to get away with some dumb shit for now.
yeah, it's catching up to us. At least me. But
Yeah, and but I think we can kind of wrap things up here. So I will ask you my final question. If you could give a new lifter or someone going to their first meet a word of advice, what would you tell them?
kind of touch what we kind of already went over a bit, but embrace the anxiety. And what I mean by that is it's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be a little hyper focused on your meet coming up and numbers that you want to hit. But you just have to embrace it and learn to harness the anxiety and use it in your favor. Because at the end of the day, it's if you let it consume you, you're going to fail, and that's only going to cause worse things for your head. Um, so I'm big on allowing my mind to process the anxiety and why I feel that way about a number on the bar or a competition coming up. And sometimes it takes a little longer than others to embrace it and accept it. But once you do, and you can learn to use anxiety to your benefit, you'll love it that much more.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, but maybe for someone who might not fully kind of grasp what like how to do it, what are maybe walk us through a quick example.
Find routine. Find something that you know. For me, I think of meets I've done and the things that have spiked my anxiety, and I try to mimic that, especially in training. So, for instance, if I'm in the hole in a meet, I have specific songs that have high pitch in it to kind of trigger like just goosebumps almost. Um, I listen to those before heavy lifts in the gym to trigger that feeling again, and then I try to sit there in my head and not talk myself through it, but kind of be like, this is just a gym. It's just a number we've done before. It's going to be okay. So that way, with that positive reinforcement, once I get to the platform, even though it's numbers I haven't done before, usually for third attempts, I can still get myself in that mindset of, we've been here before. It's okay to be feeling this anxious, but we've been here. Let's do what we've done before. Let's get onto that bar and make it worth it.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean. I know exactly how to what you mean, and something I try to do myself when there's plenty of ways to do it. And I think I like your example good too. But I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to come on. It was my pleasure.
Of course, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it. Before we go, I would like to just touch again, to the people that do have any mental health going on, any depression, any suicidal thoughts. Talk to people, find help, and know it's okay. Especially if you're in this sport, it takes a toll on us mentally, and you're not alone in that. So reach out to anyone you can, friends, family, fellow people in the gym. Hell, my DMs are open. So uh, I just want to leave it on. You're not alone, and people care about you.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Listen, I don't have a beard. I've got this glorious mustache. But even this stash deserves elite care. That's where Wicked Wolf Beard Co. comes into play. Their oils and balms keep the face fuzz fresh, soft, and ready for action. No crusty cowboy nonsense here. It smells great, feels great, and makes me look more like I lift heavy things. Beard, mustache, or something in between, Wicked Wolf's got your mug covered. Wicked Wolf Beard Co. Respect the stash. Head on over to Wicked Wolf Beard Co. and use code PLDEN for 25% off your order.